Take one of them out of the cupboard and hold it up to the window. You know the one. It came out of the machine looking like that, and you did the sensible thing, which is you washed it again. And it came out the same. So you washed it a third time by hand, with hot water and a good deal of soap, and you held it up to the window again, and there it was. That gray fog over the whole of it, worse near the bottom, and no shine left in it anywhere. Most folks land in one of two places from there. Either they decide the dishwasher is not doing its job, and they start running it hotter and adding more soap. Or they decide the glasses have had their day, and the whole set goes in a box for the thrift store. And a good many people are wrong in both directions. Because that fog you are looking at is not one thing. It is two entirely different things that look exactly the same from where you are standing. One of them will come off. It is sitting on top of the glass, and it does not belong there, and there is a way to lift it that costs you about $1. The other one is not on the glass at all. It is the glass. The surface itself has been damaged, and no amount of washing will bring it back, and every hard scrub you give it is time you are never getting again. The cruel part is that you cannot tell them apart by looking. I cannot either, and neither can the fellow at the appliance store. Nobody can. But you can find out in 5 minutes tonight, with something already in your kitchen. And once you know which one you have, you will also know what to do about it, and the two answers are near enough to opposite that doing the wrong one makes the whole business worse. Before we get to it, folks kept asking me to put the whole of this down in one place, the keeping of a house, room by room, so I did. It is called The House That Keeps Itself, and it lives at jonasoldways.com. That is all I will say about it. Now let us have a look at your glass. Start with the one that can be fixed. Your water is not just water. Depending on where you live, it carries a good deal of dissolved mineral in it, mostly calcium and magnesium, picked up out of the ground on its way to you. Folks call that hard water, and most of the country has it to some degree. Now, when a glass comes out of a wash and the water dries on it, the water leaves and the mineral does not. It cannot. It has nowhere to go. So it stays behind as a very thin film across the whole surface. One cycle of that you would never see. 100 cycles of it, and the film builds up thick enough to scatter the light, and the glass goes gray. That is the whole of that mechanism, and it is not complicated. Mineral rides in on the water, water leaves, mineral stays. Layer on layer, year after year. And here is the good news about it. That film is not part of the glass. It is a deposit lying on the outside of it. Mineral deposits will dissolve in a mild acid, which is why a bottle of plain white vinegar out of the kitchen cupboard is the whole of the cure. The manufacturers say the same thing, and I will use their language rather than mine. Whirlpool and KitchenAid both put out guidance for cloudy glassware, and both of them describe wiping a small area with vinegar as the way to find out what you are dealing with. Now the other one, and this is the one that catches good, careful people out. Glass is not the permanent thing we take it for. It is hard, and it is stable, and it will outlive us, but the very surface of it can be attacked, and it can be attacked by the very thing you have been putting in the machine to get it clean. Dishwasher detergent is strongly alkaline, which is the opposite end of the scale from vinegar. That is not a fault, it is how it lifts grease. But over a great many cycles, hot alkaline water can slowly draw minerals out of the surface layer of the glass itself. What it leaves behind is a surface that is no longer smooth. It is minutely rough and pitted, on a scale you will never see with your eye. And a rough surface scatters light in every direction instead of letting it pass cleanly through, which reads to you as cloudy. That is etching, and the makers of these machines are plain about it. Ool has published guidance on preventing glass etching, and the plain fact in all of it is the one nobody wants to hear. Etching is permanent. The glass is not covered in something. The glass is missing something, and you cannot put back what is gone. I am not going to dress that up. If that is what you have, no video and no product and no amount of scrubbing is bringing those glasses back to what they were. So there you are, with two entirely different conditions. One of them a coating, and the other one damage. And they both produce a gray glass that will not come clean. The reason they look the same is that your eye is not reporting on the surface. It is reporting on the light. A layer of mineral on top of the glass scatters light in every direction. A microscopically rough glass surface scatters light in every direction. Your eye gets scattered light in both cases and calls it cloudy, and it has no way to tell you why. Which is exactly why washing it again does not settle the question. If it is film, one more wash under the same conditions puts more film on. If it is etching, one more wash takes a little more surface off. So you can go around that circle for 2 years, and a good many folks do, and at the end of it, the glasses are worse, and you still do not know what you are dealing with. Here is how you find out, and I want you to do this on one glass tonight, rather than take my word for it. You need white vinegar, a soft cloth, and about 5 minutes. Pick your glass, take one of the cloudy ones, and pick one with no crack and no chip in it. Dry it off completely first because a wet glass reads differently and you are about to make a comparison. Mark a small area. This is the part people skip and then wish they had not. Put a small piece of tape around a patch on the outside of the glass or slip a rubber band over it so you know exactly where you tested. Otherwise, you will hold it up afterward and talk yourself into seeing something, and that is no good to anybody. Damp the cloth with vinegar and hold it against that spot. Not the whole glass, just the marked patch. The KitchenAid owner instructions describe about 5 minutes for this sort of test, so give it that. Set it on the counter and let it sit. Then rinse the spot, dry it properly with a clean towel, and take the tape off. Now look at it in the same light you looked at it in before. That last part matters more than you would think. Glass reads differently at the window than it does under a kitchen bulb, so go back to the same window, same time of day if you can manage it. And you will get one of 2 answers. If that is worth 5 minutes of your evening, a like helps this reach the next person about to throw out a good set of glasses. And subscribe if you would like to sit with me again next week. If that marked patch is noticeably clearer than the rest of the glass around it, then what you have is mineral film, and it is coming off. Do the whole glass. Soak it in white vinegar for a quarter of an hour or so. If your glasses are tall, a plastic tub with an inch of vinegar in the bottom turned over halfway through will do the job as well as anything. Then wash it in warm, soapy water by hand. Rinse it, and here is the important part. Dry it right away with a clean towel. Do not let it air dry. Air drying is what put the film there in the first place, because air drying means the water evaporates off the glass and leaves its mineral behind. Every time. For keeping it from coming back, there are a few plain things. Use the Rinse-Aid dispenser if your machine has one, because Rinse-Aid is doing exactly this job. It helps the water run off in sheets instead of standing in drops. Take the glasses out while they are still warm and dry them by hand. And if your water is very hard, that is worth knowing about your house in general, and a water treatment fellow can tell you where you stand. I am not going to give you a detergent amount, and I want to say why. The right amount depends on how hard your water is, how full the machine is, and what your particular machine and detergent call for. Bosch, for one, sets that out in their manuals. There is no number I can give you from here that would be right for everybody, and the number is written in the book that came with your machine. If you take the tape off and the patch looks exactly like the rest of the glass, then you very likely have etching. And I would like you to hear the next part properly. That glass is not coming back. Not with a stronger acid, not with a scouring pad, not with a paste of anything. There is nothing on the surface to remove. The surface is what changed. And I will tell you the honest thing about scrubbing at it, which is that abrasives on etched glass will take you further in the wrong direction because now you are grinding the surface as well. So the useful thing you have got out of 5 minutes is this: you have stopped. You are not going to spend the next 2 years fighting a thing that cannot be won, and you are not going to buy 3 products that were never going to work. And here is the part worth sitting with. An etched glass is not a broken glass. It has lost its shine. It has not lost anything else. If you like the set and it is comfortable in your hand, go on using it. The thing that retires a glass is a crack or a chip, because that is a safety matter. Cloudiness is a looks matter, and looks are yours to decide about. What matters far more is the next set, because if your machine etched these, it will etch those too, unless something changes. Now here is why this whole video exists, and if you remember one thing from me today, let it be this: the 2 conditions do not only look alike, they call for opposite handling. And most folks, faced with a cloudy glass, do the same thing regardless, which means half of them are making it worse. If it is mineral film, the water is carrying too much for the wash to deal with. The direction of travel is toward more help. Rinse aid, adequate detergent for the hardness of your water, hot enough water, and drying by hand instead of by air. If it is etching, the direction of travel is the exact opposite. Etching is associated with soft water, more detergent than the water needs, and high heat over many cycles. So the answer is gentler. Less detergent, not more. A lower temperature or a gentler cycle where the machine offers one. And it is worth knowing that heavy pre-rinsing can play into it too, because detergent that has no food to work on will go looking for something else to work on. Do you see the trap? A man with etched glasses decides his machine is not cleaning well, so he doubles the soap and turns up the heat. And he has just poured fuel on the exact process that ruined them. That is the whole value of 5 minutes and a splash of vinegar. Not the cleaning, the knowing which way to turn. Now the honest part, because this method has real edges, and I would rather you trust me than like me. The test tells you which is likely, not which is certain. A patch that clears is very good evidence of mineral film. A patch that does not change is very good evidence of etching. But there are other films that do not answer to acid, and I am not able to give you a laboratory diagnosis from here. What I can give you is a far better answer than looking at it, which is what you had before. Do not mix vinegar with anything. Not with bleach, not with any other cleaner, not with a general-purpose spray. Vinegar on its own, on a cloth, on glass. That is the whole of it. Do not run vinegar through the dishwasher. You will find that advice in a great many places, and I am not going to repeat it, because manufacturers note that regular. Our acid exposure can be hard on certain components inside the machine. The test is done at the sink, on one glass, by hand. Skip anything cracked or chipped, not for the sake of the test, for the sake of your hands. And go by your own manual. Water hardness, detergent, cycle temperature, and rinse aid all vary by machine and by household. And the book that came with your machine is written for your machine. Anything I say from here is general, and that book is specific. One more, on old and decorated glass. If a piece is genuinely old, or hand-painted, or gilded at the rim, leave it out of this entirely, and wash it by hand in mild soap. Acid and decoration do not agree with each other, and a thing with a gold rim has no business in a dishwasher in the first place. Let us count it because it is small money, and it is worth counting anyway. A bottle of white vinegar is $1 or $2, and you will use a splash of it. That is the entire cost of finding out. A set of 8 decent everyday glasses is somewhere between $50 and $150, depending what you like. And folks replace those sets on a regular basis, believing the glass has worn out, when a good many of those sets were only filmed and would have come back for $1 worth of vinegar and a quarter of an hour. The other half of the arithmetic is quieter. It is the sets that really were etched, being replaced with new sets, going into the same machine, on the same settings, with the same amount of soap. And etching again. Some folks are on their third set and have never once been told that the machine and the dose are what did it. The vinegar is not really the point. The point is being told which of those two households you are. I have been thinking, putting this together, about how much of keeping a house is diagnosis rather than effort. We are all willing to work. Nobody reading a cloudy glass is being lazy about it. They washed it 3 times. They bought the stronger soap. They ran the machine hotter. There is no shortage of effort anywhere in that story, and the effort is exactly what made it worse, because it was aimed at the wrong thing. The old habit, and I have it as much as anyone, is to answer a problem by doing more. Scrub harder, apply more, turn it up. And there is a whole class of trouble in a house where more is precisely the wrong direction, and you cannot know which class you are in without stopping and asking a question first. 5 minutes of asking is worth 2 years of doing. That is not a saying about glassware. It is about the whole of a house. So tonight, take 1 glass out of the cupboard. Not the whole set. 1. Put a bit of tape on it. Hold a vinegar cloth against that spot for 5 minutes. Dry it, and go back to the same window. You will know something by the time the kettle boils that you did not know this morning, and you will know which way to turn. And tell me this below. What is the thing in your house you have been cleaning for years that has not actually been dirty for a long while? Every house has one. A pan, a window, a bit of floor, a fixture that never comes up right no matter what you do. I read every one of these, and I have a feeling the answers are going to be useful to a good many folks. Weeks ago, we put a few drops of food coloring in a toilet tank and let it tell us the truth about a leak we could not see. This is the same idea in a different room. When you cannot see the cause, stop guessing and set up a small test that can only come back one of 2 ways. God keep you, friend. We will talk again.